It's Michelle of Muffin Beauty Science, chemistry PhD, cosmetic chemist, and Paula's Choice Tragic. I first got into skincare around 2009, and back then we didn't have all the brands we have now, not to mention all the skincare info we have now, and Paula Bagun was pretty much the only person talking about the science behind skincare and busting skincare myths. Paula's Choice and everything else Paula's done is actually a really big reason why science-based skincare is such a thing now. So I was a bit senpai noticed me when Paula's Choice approached me to do a sponsored video. Now I know Paula's very busy and probably had nothing to do with it, but we don't know for sure. So we're going to assume that Paula specifically picked me. Like and subscribe to Paula's favorite YouTuber, and no one can prove that's not true. So it turns out I've never done a video where I just talked about my favorite Paula's Choice products, so that's what we're doing today. Paula's Choice have a lot of products. I feel like I've barely touched the range, so let me know your favorite products in the comments so I can try out more of them. This is one of the few brands where I really think that any skin type could get their entire skincare routine from their range. They have 11 regular cleansers and 20 moisturizers without SPF. That is a lot. So out of the products that I have tried, which is a fraction of everything, these are my favorites. We're going to start with the 2% BHA liquid. If you followed me for a while, you would know that this would be in there. This is the first product from Paula's Choice that I got when I first got into skincare in 2009. It was my first, real skincare product that I bought for myself after reading tons of reviews. I think Paula's Choice is best known for popularizing chemical exfoliants. Alpha hydroxy acids and beta hydroxy acid are ingredients that help your dead skin cells shed more evenly. This is something that naturally happens, but sometimes this natural process doesn't work as well as we'd like, so you need some exfoliants to come and give it a bit of a kick along. These days it seems like every brand has a chemical exfoliant, but back then there were about 8 on the market and 4 of them were from Paula's Choice. They haven't changed this formula that much, but it somehow still really stood its own after more than a decade. Paula's Choice is just still really dominating when it comes to salicylic acid formulas. This is still the best formula I've tried, and it's the one that I keep going back to. This is the skincare product that I've had the longest relationship with. I try a lot of skincare products, and for most product categories, there'll be a few different options that I end up really enjoying and using regularly. But for salicylic acid, this is the one that's sort of on its own level for me. And I've heard that a lot of other people also feel the same way. Paula's Choice has a philosophy where they always try to include other supporting ingredients in their products. So this is actually one of their simpler ones. It's got humectants in the base. It's got a bit of green tea as well to reduce irritation. Salicylic acid is a little bit drying on the skin and it can feel a bit tight while your skin adjusts to it, but I found that following up with a hydrating toner or a moisturizer really helps with this. I love using this for keeping my pores clear, getting rid of those little grey dots on your nose in the pores. I put this on with my fingers and I mostly put it on my T-zone a few times a week at night. I also put it sometimes a bit on my cheeks as well. I also used to use this in the morning before, but now I kind of just try to keep my morning routine as simple as possible. This is the liquid version, which comes out very liquidy. There's also a lotion version, but I've been so happy with the liquid version that I've never really had the urge to try the lotion. A very similar product is the Clear Acne Body Spray. This is just pretty much the same thing, but in a spray form. I think they have a few different ingredients in there as well, but it is mostly that 2% salicylic acid. This is really good for getting my back. The spray sprays even when you put it upside down, which is really handy. I would probably recommend not spraying your face. I feel like exfoliating your lungs is probably not a good idea. The Paula's Choice 10% Niacinamide Booster. This product is the product that converted me to niacinamide. Niacinamide is a form of vitamin B3. It is a really great all-round ingredient and it's gotten really popular lately. Niacinamide helps with brightening, so it can reduce the appearance of brown patches like a lot of other ingredients, but it's also been tested on red blotchiness and yellow sallowness as well. Niacinamide also smooths out skin texture and fine lines, and it's one of the very few ingredients that looks like it might potentially be able to make pores look smaller. But I think the main reason people love niacinamide is that it is one of the few ingredients that's active, but not very irritating at effective levels if your skin isn't specifically sensitive to it. Most of the other really evidence-backed actives like retinoids and exfoliating acids still tend to be a bit irritating even if your skin's gotten used to it. So niacinamide is like a little working holiday for your skin. So confession time, I wasn't cool enough to like niacinamide before it became really popular. I knew about all the data backing up its effectiveness, but I tried a couple of products with niacinamide and I didn't really see much of a difference, so I gave up pretty quickly. But this serum is the one that actually made a big difference on my skin, and it made me really probably try out other niacinamide products. I've seen other people say the same thing, that this one is just the one that works the best for them. So I think there is actually quite a lot of variation with niacinamide formulas, even if they have the same percentage. It could also be the other ingredients in this, so the ascorbyl glucoside in that is a vitamin C derivative and it's one of my favorites. There are a whole bunch of other supporting ingredients and antioxidants in this too that also add to this soothing effect. So there's allantoin and licorice extract. Paula's Choice really love the antioxidants, and this has a massive list of them. The texture is really watery and light. It's a water-based formula. It's very easy to incorporate into your routine because it's so light, it layers nicely under everything else. You can use it morning or night. I tend to use this every few nights. If my skin is particularly irritated, then sometimes I'll just use this and nothing else for a few nights, maybe also with a moisturizer. There is also a 20% niacinamide, which a lot of people like if you want to go up even higher with your niacinamide. Next up is the 0.3% retinol and 2% bakuchiol treatment. This is one of my favorite retinol products. Retinol is considered a gold standard skincare ingredient. It's a form of vitamin A and it's an anti-aging superstar ingredient. Back when I first started on retinol, I made the mistake of using a really big blob of the Paula's Choice 1% retinol a few nights in a row, and that was a massive mistake. 1% is really strong. I thought my skin could handle it because I was used to using 20% chemical exfoliants with no big issues, but retinol is a whole different game. I think the really sneaky thing about retinoid irritation is that it only happens about a day and a half after you've applied it. With chemical exfoliants, you can usually tell right after you've applied it that it's stinging too much and you need to get it off. But with retinoids, the next night your skin will still usually mostly be fine. So if you're a bit of a chump like me, then you'll end up using even more the next night because you feel like, oh, that didn't actually do much, my skin's fine. And then the morning after that, you realize you've just turned your face into desiccated coconut. So after that intense retinol start, my face was red and peeling and all of those classic retinol irritation things for like a whole week. Plus I caught a cold around the same time, so I was just blowing my nose a lot and it was just really bad. So that really taught me a valuable lesson. That's what inspired me to start tretinoin super slowly. You can see my whole process for that in my tutorial on starting retinoids. So the 1% is a really good product if you want something really strong. It's one of the best sellers from Paula's Choice, but I think I've thoroughly demonstrated that I am not responsible enough for that sort of power. Even now that my skin's adjusted to retinoids, I find that sometimes I'll apply too much and then about 36 hours later, I have slightly peely skin, and that can be really inconvenient if I have a special event on or if I have to film something. It's really hard to get makeup to sit nicely on top of peely skin. So I actually like slightly gentler retinol products. This 0.3 retinol is really perfect for me because if I'm really tired and I zone out during my skincare routine and I apply a little bit too much, it is not a big deal. And this also has other ingredients in there apart from just the retinol, so it means that I can do less steps, which is always great for me. And you don't have to think about layering and ordering and whether you're using too many things and risking irritation. It just cuts out a whole bunch of variables and it makes everything just so much more straightforward. This has 2% bakuchiol in it as well. Bakuchiol is an ingredient that comes from a plant, and a lot of people have been marketing it as a natural alternative to retinol, which I think isn't that great. The argument is that it also helps with reducing the appearance of wrinkles and hyperpigmentation, just like vitamin A, but it isn't a retinoid, it doesn't work the same way as vitamin A, and it doesn't have anywhere near the same level of evidence as vitamin A. But bakuchiol is still a pretty promising ingredient, and I really like the way Paula's Choice markets this. Bakuchiol is there to supplement the retinol, it's not meant to replace it. This also has peptides and a whole bunch of skin soothing ingredients and antioxidants in that classic Paula's Choice formula. This is a really nice lightish lotion. I found it gentle and non-irritating, and the base is thick enough that it works as a moisturizer as well, on my oily skin at least. I just really love this as a super effective one-step foolproof product for when I'm really tired, which is a lot of the time now. Next is Paula's Choice Super Light Daily Wrinkle Defense SPF 30. This is a tinted-based cosmetic SPF in Australia, but it's sold as a proper sunscreen in the US and Europe. This is the nicest zinc oxide product I've ever tried. I've talked before about why zinc oxide is so annoying to use in sunscreens. Basically, zinc oxide doesn't absorb UV very well, so you need to put a lot of it into a product to get a decent SPF. But zinc oxide is an inorganic mineral, which means it's basically like powdered clay or ground up rock. So if you have 13% zinc oxide, like in this formula, that is about 1/7 or 1/8. So 1/7 or 1/8 this is powdered clay, and the rest is a thickish, oily base to try to keep that powder spread out. So it's a massive challenge to make that feel nice on your skin. And if a sunscreen product doesn't feel nice, then you don't apply as much, which means you don't get as much sun protection because SPF scales with the amount you apply. This is only SPF 30, which isn't that low. I feel weird saying only SPF 30 because 10 years ago SPF 30 was heaps. But I feel like these days most of the products on the market go for SPF 50 or 50 plus, and that's quite standard. So because of the, I guess, slightly lower than the most common SPF, there's a bit less zinc oxide in this than you'll usually see. So most zinc oxide products with SPF 50 or 50 plus will have 20 to 25%, which is a quarter of the product, which is a lot. But for me, with zinc oxide sunscreens, I just don't feel like it's worth the high SPF to feel that heaviness on my face. I'm very much a fan of chemical sunscreens if I want higher SPF. The other big issue with zinc oxide is white cast. Zinc oxide often looks white on darker skin, and my skin isn't even that dark, but I still get white cast with a lot of zinc oxide sunscreens. This one is tinted a little bit to try to hide that white cast, and it works really well on my skin. It did take a minute or two to settle, and when I first put it on, I was kind of worried. But yeah, this one is pretty unnoticeable on my face so far. No one's told me anything anyway. Maybe everyone's just being really nice. But I did take this photo where I wiped the sunscreen off half my face and I couldn't see the difference. It's on that part. I have heard that some people with very dark skin have issues with this, but this is the zinc oxide only product with the least compromises for me. Two more products I wanted to shout out. Firstly, the C25 Super Booster. This is a vitamin C product. It has ascorbic acid in a silicone base. Vitamin C is an antioxidant that's really great for brightening skin and evening out your skin tone. Ascorbic acid is the form of vitamin C that has the best evidence, but it's pretty annoying. I've talked about this a whole bunch before. It's really unstable, but when it's in a silicone base, like in this product, it goes off a lot slower because the silicone wraps around the vitamin C and protects it against oxygen and light and water. This is quite strong, which is why I'm putting it in this separate section. If you don't already use a gentler ascorbic acid, I wouldn't recommend this. I would recommend using the C15 because this is going to sting. The C15 is a more standard water-based ascorbic acid product. But my skin loves vitamin C and I take forever to finish products, so this is perfect for me. I like to apply this by mixing it with a different product first and then applying that because I do find it a bit strong on its own, and I have this weird thing where I don't like the feel of silicone skincare products. Everyone else says that silicones are cosmetically elegant and silky, so I am in the minority here. I usually mix a little blob of this with the 2% BHA liquid, but you can mix it in with any serum or moisturizer. Paula's Choice 10% Azelaic Acid Booster. This is not actually allowed in Australia because azelaic acid is an over-the-counter drug here, but I really like this because it has a really nice smooth texture. Azelaic acid products are sometimes a bit paste-like in texture, but this one is really light. It feels a lot more like a regular moisturizer. They've also put licorice and salicylic acid in here to make a product that's really good for evening out skin tone and texture and unclogging pores. So those are my favorite Paula's Choice products. Links to everything are in the caption. Thank you so much to Paula's Choice for sponsoring this video. Follow Paula's favorite YouTuber on everything. Skincare science videos should be popping up here and here if you want to keep watching.